Okay, firstly, a massive thank you to all the people who've joined my membership. It is extremely cheap, literally as cheap as you can possibly make it on YouTube. And there's lots of sort of EV tips and things that take a lot of time to explain, how-tos, how to do jobs on your own car, stuff like that. So massive thank you to them. So batteries, and particularly big batteries, what's the problem? So we are having a massive problem currently in the UK. So these are obviously some small ones. I can recycle these really easily. So you can take these to your battery bin in Asda's or whatever, any shop that basically sells batteries needs to take these back because of the WEEE regulations that say companies that put batteries into the market, that sell batteries, need to provide recycling for batteries. So they're also taking those batteries back. So there's somewhere for them to go. And this really became a big issue with lithium batteries because we kind of all knew that the old AA alkalines and all those kind of stuff, people were putting them in the bin, which wasn't great because of the kind of toxicity as they break down. But the real issue with these is when they get crushed, if you just put them in your wheelie bin, then when they get crushed, they can explode. And then that can cause obviously fires in recycling centres and stuff like that, which is not good. So that really pushed it forward from a big safety side. So that's fantastic. So these are not a problem. I can recycle these. What else have we got here? So these are nickel metal hydride batteries from a Prius. These are all used batteries, by the way. This is a lithium 16S module from a BMW 225XE, used in a lot of BMWs. And these are Yuasa LEV 50 cells. These are from a Mitsubishi i-MiEV, but very sort of, well, basically the same cells but slightly different capacities are used in the Mitsubishi Outlander, and also some of the e-Berlingos as well. So I can recycle these really easily. Okay, I'm probably going to reuse these because they're kind of useful, but these are dead for various reasons. These cells are totally dead and they've got a fault with the buzz bars. So what do I do with these? I can't take this to Asda's and put it in the battery bin, can I? I certainly can't take that one. There's a battery bin at my local household recycling centre, but this is not household waste. This is commercial waste. And I've had conversations with a couple of garages, even in the last couple of weeks, and with other garages in the months sort of previous, as to what do they do with old batteries. So it's now relatively common that if you've got an issue with a battery pack, garages can get modules or cells and replace those. It's becoming more and more common, and also quite common if you've got a battery like a high mileage car or something that has got a more major issue with a whole battery pack. It's degraded overall. It could be mileage or whatever, heat build up, that kind of thing. And a couple of garages I know, one's done a Nissan Leaf recently and one's done an e-Golf. E-Golf had a fault with it. Looks like it's probably got moisture in it. Nissan Leaf was high degradation, so the whole battery package needs to be taken out. And customer found another battery and got the garage to swap it over. Fantastic. So the car's back on the road. That's really good. But then the garage rings me and says, what do I do with the battery pack? So they've got a whole EV battery. It weighs about 300 kilos. And people who love EVs will tell you that yes, it takes a lot of mining and a lot of intensive process to make these batteries, but that's okay because you might be able to reuse them even if they're a lower capacity, fine. But if you can't reuse them, you can recycle them to get the elements out, because we haven't used up the rare elements in here, which is the good thing about batteries, I have to say. These still contain that lithium. There is only a very small amount of lithium in a lithium battery, I need to point out. But nickel, cobalt, manganese, many other rare elements, depends on the batteries. Newer batteries also improving over time to remove certain elements and better chemistries and all that kind of stuff, which is great. But it still remains a fact that we've spent a lot of time and energy, as in, carbon and energy intensive processes, to make these batteries, to get these elements, and those elements are still here. But what do we do with these batteries? Now, there are processes to recycle lithium batteries, to retrieve those elements out, which is great. But as far as I can work out, in the UK, there is no recycling plant where we can send the batteries. There is no functioning recycling process. So those garages have got the battery sat there. Occasionally you can get someone to take it because they might want it for a storage project. But the e-Golf one, it's got moisture in it. It's got what's called an insulation fault. So there's a link between the high voltage and the metal case. the battery's probably going to be corroded. It's basically just commercial waste. And the slightly silly thing is that, a bit like you can take these back because the companies that put the batteries into the market have a responsibility to take them back again under the WEEE regulations, the same applies to these two. These are from USA but sold by Mitsubishi. So can I take them back to Mitsubishi? No, they're not going to accept them. But why? They're not fulfilling their battery recycling obligations, much like BMW. Can I take that back to a BMW dealer? Well, they're not going to accept it, are they? They've got no way of handling this kind of toxic commercial waste. So there is a company that we have spoken to, and in other countries, they set up recycling systems. They collect all these batteries, they recycle them, and then they bill the manufacturer. So they'll bill BMW, they'll bill Mitsubishi, and they'll bill Toyota, because they have an obligation to recycle this, and all that should have been built into their pricing and into their processes. Obviously, it wasn't built into their processes. And then so they do the recycling, they get the rare elements back out again, which is fantastic, so they can be sold to make new batteries. So battery, battery builders, people who make batteries, can use those elements. Fantastic. They make them really pure. They're all of a really good grade. The recycling process works really well. And then the cost is covered by the manufacturer under those WEEE regulations. But it's just not happening. And there's actually one company who called me and said a customer bought an EV from auction. It had been in a bit of a flood and brought it to them. They're an EV specialist and a real battery repair specialist. Fantastic company called Cedar Electric. And Cedar Electric said, basically, they got the battery out, opened the lid, and there'd been a fire inside the battery. And they said it was fantastic because the fire had been contained within the battery case. Brilliant. But that is a dangerous battery. And so they basically put it back in the car and took it outside because they're not going to fix that car. It's not got a blown fuse or anything. And that is a dangerous battery. And it's going to be kind of, needs handling properly. Could be dangerous. I think it was kind of like had a part fire at one end, but it had not spread too far. So there's obviously still potential there that something else could happen. And that sort of explains why it didn't get out of the case. It didn't melt the case and burn the car or anything. And what are they going to do with it? So they put it in the car park, in the corner, moved the cars out the way, so it had lots of space. But what can they do with that battery? Who can transport these failed batteries? This process, I've seen the videos. There's a really good video on a really nice, clean-looking battery recycling process where you can put all the little ones in, drill batteries, all that kind of stuff. And it basically drains them, crushes them, grinds them up, and then they can extract the elements with different chemical processes. Fantastic. But where is it? When is that going to be set up? Because what can we do with these batteries? At the moment, they're sitting around. This is just a small selection of ones that I've got. So yeah, I plan on reusing these for a little electric quad project. But these are just ones that have been taken out, and they're just sat around, and they're just going to degrade in the environment and cause a pollution issue unless we do something with them. So yeah, maybe I'll ring Mitsubishi and BMW and say, what do you want your batteries back? Where can I bring them? Because you're liable for the recycling of them. But it's just not happening, is it? So let me know if you've got any suggestions. But I know multiple garages have got batteries sitting around and they just can't get rid of them, can't recycle them. Obviously you can't crush them or anything like that. Metal recycling don't want them because they're a liability. What can we do with them? I don't know. Let me know if you've got any suggestions, but we've investigated and we can't find any solution at the moment. And realistically, we could solve a lot of the need of those rare elements by just recycling the ones we've already got. It'd be a lot easier in terms of the effort and the carbon and the intensity of manufacturing, mining, all that kind of stuff, transportation, to just get the elements out of here to make new batteries, because there's plenty. You don't have to mine it, it's right here. You just got to collect it up and process it. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think. But seems to be a big issue. So yeah, any questions or comments? If you know of somewhere we can recycle these or companies that are setting it up. But yeah, the companies we've spoken to, they're just not at the point of being able to recycle them in the UK. All right. Cheers. Catch you later.